Democrat control freaks, that's the subject of tonight's Waters Words. Democrats like to say they want government out of the bedroom. But ironically, the Democrats want the government in every other room in your house, in your neighbor's house, in your car, in your restaurants, and everybody everywhere else in America. Senator Cory Booker is a vegan and says eating meat will destroy the planet. The tragic reality is this planet simply can't sustain billions of people consuming industrial-produced animal agriculture because of environmental impact. It's just not possible. Booker wants to crack down on big beef and big pork. Good luck running for president trying to take away meat.
Bon appetit.
Speaking of meat, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and her Green New Deal sets a goal to eliminate cow flatulence. She also wants to abolish air travel. Got that? Democrats want to get rid of airplanes and hamburgers. But it gets worse. San Francisco Democrats considered banning pets. Dogs, cats, birds, hamsters. Animal activists wanted to even ban the sale of goldfish.
Good morning, Gil. I said good morning, Gil.
Democrat Congressman Raul Grivala tried to remove the words, quote, "so help you God," from the oath that witnesses take before testifying. That's right. Democrats want to remove God from Congress. Enter the word police. Apparently, the word man is now offensive. In New York, Democrats want to change the words fireman and policeman to more gender-neutral terms like firefighter and police officer. California politicians just banned the use of he and she during committee hearings.
We are now a state recognizing the non-binary designation as a gender. We are using the phrase they and replacing other designations so that it's a gender-neutral designation of they. Basically, that's the primary reforms and revisions to the committee rules.
Sheila Jackson Lee wants to ban the word welfare. Liberal atheists have been trying to ban the phrase Merry Christmas, as you know. Illegal aliens has been changed to undocumented immigrants. And we know President Barack Obama refused to say the words radical Islam. Liberals have tried to get rid of football, Happy Meal toys, plastic straws, and even large sodas.
Hey, guys. Oh, big gulps, huh? All right. Well, see you later.
They don't want you to drive an SUV. They don't want you to light fireworks or even listen to Ben Shapiro. College campuses continue to shut down poor little Ben Shapiro from even speaking. Bloomingdale's was forced to remove a T-shirt that said fake news because a sniveling little reporter said it was hurtful. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm sick of liberals telling us what to wear, what to say, what to drive, what to eat, and who to listen to. Take a look at a liberal. Does it look like they know what they're doing? Why do we even have to listen to these people? It doesn't look like they know how to control their own lives, let alone how to control yours. Here with reaction, Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. So, Congressman, enough with these people, you know what I mean?
Hey, if it gets any weirder in Washington, Jesse, we're going to have to build a wall around Congress and then pad the insides of that wall. But, you focus on all the weird things that liberals are doing. Remember, this past week was Valentine's Day week, so love was in the air. I even got to wish a happy Valentine's Day to AOC. And I hope that she finds love that burns so bright that it's illegal under the carbon emissions of the standards of the Green New Deal. So,
did you send AOC like a little card, or did you give her one of those little candies that say I love you?
I just told her that, my love for her was so rich that she'd probably want to tax it at 70%.
I mean, Republicans love AOC. She's the gift that keeps on giving. Let's go to another gift that keeps on giving. Andrew McCabe, certified liar. He gave a big interview on 60 Minutes because he needs to make money and sell books because he's probably going to go to jail. And this is what he said, basically admitting that he was investigating the President of the United States early on. Roll it.
I met with the team investigating the Russia cases, and I asked the team to go back and conduct an assessment to determine where are we with these efforts and what steps do we need to take going forward. I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanish in the night without a trace.
So Trump fires James Comey, which the Democrats would have done if Hillary were elected. And this guy McCabe launches a counterintelligence investigation against the President of the United States, an obstruction investigation against the President of the United States, and then starts rounding up other administration officials to see if they could invoke the 25th Amendment, administrative coup, and talking with other high-ranking officials about wiring themselves to speak to the President and secretly record him. Is this the deep state? This is an admission he's deep state.
It most certainly is. A year ago, I said that there were unelected bureaucrats planning a coup against the president who was duly elected. The mainstream media widely panned me for those comments, and now that very same mainstream media is covering the fact that Andrew McCabe is saying that unelected bureaucrats were conspiring to oust the president of the United States. You'll also remember that Jim Baker, who was the top lawyer at the FBI, confirms McCabe's accounts and says that Rosenstein did want to wear a wire on the president. And you'll also remember that Peter Strzok and Lisa Page were texting each other 10 months into the investigation that there was no there. There was no evidence of collusion. And McCabe's admission is crazy. He wanted to establish an investigation that was unclosable, even if there was no evidence. That's not justice. That's a politicized FBI.
All right, and the Senate Intelligence Committee, after 2 years, just came back with their report on Russian interference and so-called collusion, found no collusion between Trump and Russia. And you know what the networks did? They never even covered it. Absolute blackout. Now, one of the other reasons we had you on, besides your amazing analytical skills, Congressman, is because your last name is kind of ridiculous. It's G-A-E-T-Z. It's pronounced Gates, but no one knows how to say that. I'll tell them it's Gates. I wanted to rattle off a few Democrats running for president, and I want you to see if you can pronounce their names correctly, because no one else can. Now, Kamala Harris. Is it Kamala Harris or Kamala Harris? What do you think?
I think it's you better not get too comfortable with your private insurance, Harris, because she's going to end it. Kamala? Is it Kamala?
It's Kamala. That is correct.
Nice.
Okay, Kamala, right. like the punctuation. Moving on. Who is the senator from New York? The blonde, not Chuck Schumer. The other one. It's
Kirsten Gillibrand.
You nailed it. How did you know that? Kirsten, not Kirsten.
I feel like we should pay her some attention because the national media never does when they talk about serious contenders for the presidency, so we should at least get her name right.
I know. This is the most press she's ever gotten on Water's World right here. Right. All right, so Kirsten Gillibrand. Not Gillibrand, it's a soft cheat. Now, the Minnesota woman who apparently throws shoes at her staff, Amy...
Snow Globe Klobuchar?
Klobuchar. Klobuchar.
I had too much shear on the char.
Yeah, too much shear. Okay, Klobuchar. That no one's going to ever get that name wrong. Right. Moving on.
Well, no one's also going to vote for her, so I don't think it'll be too much of a miss.
That's true. They're only going to be mispronouncing her name for a very short period of time.
That's right. Till the Iowa State Fair.
That's right. Now, John Hickenlooper. You don't even know who that is.
Hickenlooper?
Yes,
John Hickenlooper. That's the governor in Colorado, right?
That's right. That's right. We don't know if he's high or not.
They got so much legal cannabis in Colorado, nobody's going to be able to pronounce that name.
That's right.
The good thing he's not a write-in. He wouldn't get any votes.
That's right. All right, last one. Now, this tripped me up because I've been pronouncing this guy's name wrong from the jump. It's Beto O'Rourke. Not Beto, it's Beto. Did you even know that?
I did. I was on committees with Beto, and Beto decide whether or not he's going to run for president or not, because the field's getting pretty crowded.
Okay, and then lastly, you know, the senator from, I think it's Ohio, Brown is the last name. Is it Sherrod? Is it Sherrod? Do you know?
Sherrod Brown?
Sherrod Brown. You know, you're better. You know, I know why you did so well is because everybody mangles your name, so you have to really get everybody else's name right.
I try to remind them. It's like open gates, Jesse.
All right.
Easy to remember.
All right. Matt Gaetz, there he is, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
3 freshman Democrat congresswomen are making a bad first impression with not just Republicans, pretty much everybody. Politico taking note. Quote, the Republican Party has a new trio of Democratic villains. Rashid Tlaib, Congresswoman Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The GOP strategy risks a backlash. A party that has problems with women and minorities continues to focus its attacks on women of color, even as the freshmen say they're not surprised by it. Joining me now, Trump 2020 campaign senior advisor, Katrina Pearson, and RNC spokeswoman Kayleigh McEnany. All right, ladies, so I had a problem with this Politico report because they said, you know, the Republicans, they're moving away from Nancy Pelosi as, you know, just demonizing her because they did that in the midterms. There's other women that are now coming up, and they're making so much controversy with these radical proposals and things they're saying that are anti-Semitic and whatnot, that Republicans are targeting them. But Republicans better be careful, according to the media, Kayleigh, because you don't want to ever criticize someone who is a female or a minority. That might make you look mean.
That's an absurd gender politics, identity politics argument. The GOP is targeting anti-Semitism, and that is a complete red herring to say they're focusing on these people because of their gender. We're focusing on people who have fundraisers, Rashida Tlaib, who run a page with a video that says Jews are satanic. We are focusing on Ilhan Omar for having an anti-Semitic tweet. There's no room for that kind of hate in our country, and that is our exclusive focus, is the absurd, hateful places, things they've said that have no place in this society.
Yeah, Katrina, Republicans are going after these 3 freshmen because of their crazy socialist radical proposals and anti-Semitism. Remember, the one woman said impeach the MRFer, like on her first day. It's not because they're women or minorities. It's because they're crazy socialists that they'd go after if it was a man or if the person was green.
Oh, Jesse, there is no question about that. And if Democrats don't want these individuals to be in the spotlight, they shouldn't be given prominent positions on committees. And Kayleigh's right. There are serious issues with these individuals. And it seems like the Democrats thought they could package the anti-Semitism with a brown woman and expect there not to be criticism. But what Republicans know is that in the future elections, these races are going to be won at home, on the ground. The people who are not watching cable news, they don't know the things that Kayleigh just said. We have to get those messages to the people because most people don't know that Ilhan Omar just 3 years ago went to a judge for leniency for individuals who either pled guilty or were tried and found guilty of supporting ISIS. And she sits on the Foreign Intelligence Committee.
Right.
How does that happen?
Yeah,
People
she's
need to
lowering
know.
the intelligence of the committee just by sitting on it. You can't ask for leniency for people trying to join ISIS. What kind of message does that send? And they use their, I guess, identity as a sword and as a shield because, you know, they attack you with it. And then if you attack them back, they say, oh, no, you can't criticize me. You're just criticizing me because I'm a woman or I'm a minority. Here was Representative Omar, kind of a nasty little exchange with Mr. Abrams, who you know, has done a lot for American foreign policy over the years. Let's roll the tape.
I fail to understand why members of this committee or the American people should find any testimony that you give today to be truthful.
If I could respond to that.
It wasn't a question. Yes or no, would you support an armed faction within Venezuela that engages in war crimes, crimes against humanity or genocide, if you believe they were serving U.S. interests, as you did in Guatemala, El Salvador, and Nicaragua?
I am not going to respond to that question. I'm sorry. I don't think this entire line of questioning is meant to be real questions, and so I will not reply.
Okay, so there she is, you know, really, really humiliating herself out there. I believe this person isn't going to stop. And she's going to keep making news. She's going to keep saying anti-Semitic things. And we know that, you know, Nancy Pelosi tried to cut her out And I don't think she got the message. I'll give you guys the last word, 30 seconds.
Absolutely, she did not get the message. It's why she's slated to speak beside someone who promotes anti-Semitism in the coming months. She didn't get the message. She's going to keep saying these things. But make no mistake, and I'm sure Katrina would agree, these 2020 contenders bow down to her. It's why Bernie Sanders privately called her in the background saying, I support you, amid her tweet that was anti-Semitic. The 2020 contenders cower to these individuals.
I think I know why, Katrina. It's because the leadership of the party wants these, young radicals out there. They take all the heat, but they're just saying the things that I think a lot of the rest of the party truly believe or maybe say behind closed doors. 10
well,
seconds.
I mean, silence is consent, Jesse. You know, when you traffic in identity politics and class warfare, eventually you're stuck with it. But the American people are going to reject it because where we are today with these radicals is completely absurd and against the democracy that we're in.
All right, ladies, thank you guys very much.
Exactly right. Thank you.
Empire actor Mr. Smollett mad that people think his case is a hoax. All right, 2 law enforcement officials will debate that later. But up next, Tomi Lahren with some exclusive footage on the U.S.-Mexico border.
Have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there. And we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court, just like the ban.
President Trump declaring the situation at the border a national emergency to fund the border wall and predicting the legal fight ahead. With all the fighting in Washington, not many people realize just how dangerous the situation is for the border agents on the ground. Tomi Lahren got a first-hand look for Fox Nation.
This area right now, this is our border protected by this barbed wire fencing and, wood. Would this area be suitable for fencing if you could afford fencing to put here?
The way the terrain's set up, it's viable to construct border fencing in this area.
We had learned over the years that when we put a solid barrier we couldn't see through, our adversaries, whether it be drug smugglers, illegal aliens, or smugglers, would hide behind them and then use it to basically assault our agents, throw rocks at our agents, or just hide like lots and lots of people and then all at one time run across.
Would this then line your border? One of these prototypes would then line your border?
That design right there is basically what we're looking at going forward.
This is inhospitable terrain, not only for them, but also for us. It's difficult for us to deploy technology into these areas. So we have to make up for that by either using aircraft or just having agents on the ground hiking in. And that's where the real work of the Border Patrol comes into play.
Agents have to get up here either by us or by foot. We had a 100-foot long fast rope, which is a rope about the diameter of a fireman's pole that you can slide down.
We're roughly 8 miles north of the border, and we encounter camouflage groups. They wear like a real tree or a Mossy Oak type camo from head to toe.
It's fine for us to arrest people that have crossed the border illegally, but the true targets and the true people that we want to hit hard every single day are the facilitators. It's the scouts on the mountaintops. It's the guys that are foot guides for the groups that are bringing them across. It's the load drivers and all of the criminals that are facilitating this illegal trafficking of people. There's absolutely no value on human life when it comes to the cartel that's operating south of the border. The people that are crossing have no say in when they're crossing, where they're crossing, or how they're crossing. They're being crossed in the hands of criminals, and it's a dangerous situation.
Tomi Lahren joins me now. So, Tomi, when you were shooting the inhospitable terrain and those men were kind of just climbing down off of a helicopter and pursuing illegal crossings on foot, where exactly was that?
That was in the Nogales, Tucson area in Arizona, and it was about 115 degrees when we were there. So what these guys are doing day in and day out, they're hiking into the middle of their desert, they're hiking back. Some areas, it's so remote that they can't even take ATVs. So these people are the real heroes of this country, and they don't get nearly enough credit. So some of that inhospitable terrain, it was almost like huge mountaintops and cliffs. You couldn't put border fencing there. That's where you'd have to just surge a lot of Border Patrol agents, correct? Yeah, and so that's what I asked them about, because obviously that area is not really suitable for a lot of fencing or a wall. But if we have wall in other places where we can put a wall, then our agents can focus on those remote areas.
Exactly.
So when I went there, I asked them time and time again, does a wall work? And they said, we need a wall because then we can focus on these areas and we don't have to be sitting there worrying about people running across, and we can divert our efforts. It really makes sense, but the Democrats can't seem to get it.
Yeah, they don't want to listen to the experts. They think they know better than the people on the ground. When you, in the beginning of the package, could you see where you kind of highlighted that pathetic little fence? It was about as tall, about 5 feet tall here, with some little barbed wire. Where exactly was that?
That was in Arizona as
also
well, in the Nogales
Arizona
area. And yes. Yeah, and it was that bad. I mean, that was not just a small little area. There was a lot of area that either had no fencing at all or had that. I mean, I think you and I have talked about this before, but I grew up in South Dakota, and we have better fencing to keep livestock in than we do protecting our border, which is really pathetic.
Well, the Democrats don't want meat around. They want to get rid of your hamburger, like Cory Booker. So that fencing could come in handy later. What a lot of people don't understand, Tommy, is they say, the drugs, all the narcotics, they come through ports of entry. But you know what? Who do you think deals the drugs? You have to have men. And the guys that are dealing it in the United States, they cross the border illegally on foot between the ports of entry. Listen, great job down there on the border. That was great footage. And you guys can check that out with Tommy on Fox Nation. See you later.
Thanks, Jesse.
Jussie Smollett very upset over people accusing him of a hate crime hoax in Chicago. The latest next. And later, what's right and what's wrong? Carly and Abby coming up.
Live from America's News Headquarters, I'm Robert Gray. Former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, once one of the highest-ranking U.S. Catholic leaders, has now been removed from the priesthood. Pope Francis made the rare move to defrock McCarrick after Vatican officials found him guilty of decades-long sex crimes against minors and adults. McCarrick once served as the Archbishop of Washington, D.C. The decision comes days before the Pope is set to lead a Vatican summit in which bishops will discuss preventing sexual abuse. Heather Nauert removes herself from consideration as the next U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. In a statement, she said her decision was, quote, in the best interest for her family. President Trump had picked her for the job following the departure of Nikki Haley. Nauert currently serves as chief spokesperson for the State Department and is a former Fox News anchor. Now back to Watters World.
I'm pissed off. What is it that has you so angry? Is it the attackers?
It's the attackers, but it's also the attacks. It's like, at first it was a thing of like, listen, if I tell the truth, then that's it, because it's the truth. Mm-hmm. Then it became a thing of like, oh, how can you doubt that? Like, how do you not believe that? It's the truth.
That's actor Jussie Smollett telling ABC's Robin Roberts that people doubting his story about Trump supporters attacking him is making him very angry. Here's the latest.
Good evening, Jesse. A Chicago Police Department spokesman tells me today Jussie Smollett is still, quote, the listed victim in this case. But the two men who were identified by police just yesterday as potential suspects have now been released and are apparently no longer suspects, with a Chicago Police Department spokesman saying yesterday, quote, due to new evidence as a result of today's interrogations, the individuals questioned by police in the Empire case have now been released without charging, and detectives have additional investigative work to complete. That statement came just hours after Chicago police said they had probable cause to believe the two men did commit assault and battery against actor Jussie Smollett. But whatever the two told investigators appears to have been enough to change minds. The two men are apparently brothers. They are originally from Nigeria, and police say at least one of them worked with Smollett on the set of the Fox TV show Empire. And now Jussie Smollett has reportedly hired a high-priced defense lawyer amid reports Chicago police are looking into the theory that the entire attack may have been staged. Jesse?
Joining me now, former NYPD officer Darren Porcher and former Tucson police officer and the director of urban engagement at Turning Point USA, Brandon Tatum. All right, I just want to play for you guys Smollett talking to Robin Roberts describing the attack. Let's hear it.
I heard Empire, so I turned around and I said, "The did you just say to me?" And I see the attacker masked, and he said, "This MAGA country," punches me right in the face. So I punched his ass back. And then we started tussling. You know, there was a second person involved who was kicking me in my back. And then it just stopped. And they ran off. And I saw where they ran. And the phone was in my pocket, but it had fallen out. And it was sitting there. And my manager was still on the phone. So I picked up the phone and I said, "Brandon," and he's like, "What's going on?" And I said, "I was just jumped." And then I look down and I see that there's a rope around my neck.
Okay, Brandon, why do you think the story makes no sense?
I mean, come on now. You talk about in Chicago, negative 20-degree weather, you got some guys, you know, spewing out racial epithets with MAGA hats on saying MAGA country. It makes almost zero sense. And as a former police officer who's done hundreds of investigations of crimes similar to this, his story makes no sense. Inconsistent articulation of what happened. Like, for instance, he says the fight, it just stopped. When people are kicking your butt because they hate you, they're not going to just randomly stop fighting you and walk away. Those things are not consistent with the behaviors of victims of hate crimes and also someone who actually want to get something done.
Darren, the allegation was that they hurled racial epithets at Smollett. Everyone's black involved, allegedly. Does that make sense to you or not?
Well, you got to take in consideration when someone is the victim of a crime, it's a horrific experience. And oftentimes they don't see things the way someone that's not the victim of a crime would see it. And coupled with there being an assault. Here, when we look at the statements, he's been somewhat surreptitious in terms of the documentation he introduced in connection with his phone records. Your phone is a very sacred thing. He may not want to introduce his difficult, and we're still getting through we're still getting through the evidence to determine what in fact did occur.
Right, because there clearly were physical injuries involved.
Exactly.
You mentioned the phone. I want to play you guys tape. This is his explanation about why he has not handed his phone over to investigators, because, you know, the story was that he was on the phone with his manager during the actual attack. Let's listen to what he said.
They wanted me to give my phone to the tech for 3 to 4 hours. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do that.
Why?
Because I have private pictures and videos and numbers.
Brandon, are you sympathetic to that explanation or not?
No, it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, if I was investigating this crime and I see a person who's been beat up and has been a victim of a hate crime, and you are refusing to give your phone to investigators to find these suspects because of those excuses, I find it not credible at all. It is absolutely ridiculous. I don't believe anything he says, and that was one of the starting points.
Darren, what do you think?
I mean, I disagree. I mean, I was a lieutenant in the NYPD. I had a detective squad that I commanded, and I can tell you firsthand, oftentimes you will get information that may seem to be all over the place, but the truth of the matter is a credible investigation is going to uncover a lot of this stuff. We don't just have to go with what he introduces. We're going to expand the video. Initially, when this happened, there was a camera that was pointed in the opposite direction. If we didn't get anything there, what we're going to do is we're just going to keep expanding the video so we can see who came to that particular location. We may dump the cell phone tower, but the truth of the matter is it's an amalgamation of different components of material evidence that'll make us gain that assessment as to what happened or what didn't happen. Case in point, the inconsistency, whereas it was a white and then the Make America Great hat, and then there was individuals.
Well, you know what, that can't be all on Smollett, because there was a lot of fake news being reported about someone wearing a hat, injuries that were inconsistent. You know, a lot of that goes on the media as well, too. Listen, guys, we got to run, but we definitely, something happened. We know that. And the police, it looks like they're doing a very good job slowly putting this together, and we're going to continue to follow the story as it develops. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Up next, Diamond and Silk on Spike Lee's very controversial comments. Filmmaker Spike Lee in the hot seat again this week, criticizing the founding fathers of America, saying the roots of our racist history go all the way back to Christopher Columbus.
When I was in public school in Brooklyn, New York, I was not told George Washington owned slaves. I just told that he chopped down the cherry tree and wouldn't tell a lie. In 1492, this terrorist sailed the ocean blue. This country was built on, in my opinion, genocide of Native Americans and slavery. That's the foundation of this country.
Joining me now, Diamond and Silk. Ladies, you know what bothers me? This guy speaks more harshly of the founding of this country than ISIS. Where's all that tough talk for ISIS?
Yeah. You know, Jesse, when you look at Spike Lee, you know, he talks about genocide. But what about the 16 million black babies that have been aborted since 1973? To us, that's genocide. And why isn't he talking about that? You know, we live in the greatest country on earth. It is the greatest country on earth. And he's been able to obtain the American dream right here in the United States of America. And if he don't like this country and what it was founded on, then maybe he needs to move to another country like Venezuela and see how it feels to live in a nightmare of poverty and not having enough food to eat, and then tell us how that's working for him.
That's right.
Okay, so Diamond and Silk want to send Spike to Venezuela.
Yeah.
Okay, ladies. Up next, we have Kamala Harris. Now we know how to pronounce her name. Kamala Harris. Okay, and this is her talking to some people about smoking weed back in the day and what she listened to on the radio. Roll it.
Have you ever smoked?
I have.
Okay. Like
and
college,
I inhaled. I did inhale.
Was it in college? What were you listening to when you was high? What was on? What song was it?
Oh my goodness! Oh yeah, definitely Snoop. Tupac for sure. For sure.
I mean, the best thing we can take away from this situation is now politicians don't have to lie about inhaling; they can just admit they did it.
But then, okay, so let's look at the time frame when she did it.
That's right.
Now, she graduated from college, I believe, in 1989, in law school, I think, in 1989. She started working as a deputy district attorney in the 90s. So that means she was getting high while she was having black men locked up for getting high. So maybe we should go back and take a look at Kamala Harris' past, and maybe we should start pressing some charges around here.
That's right.
Wow, Diamond and Silk with their own investigation. Unbelievable. Maybe she couldn't remember because she was high. That would explain the timeline difference. All right, so there was this big festival or carnival or parade or something like that in Italy. They love those things over there in Europe. This is a float. It's called God Trump Emperor. I think this was meant to be insulting. The minute Trump probably looks at this float, I think he's going to want it for the military parade here in the United States. That's a good float.
Well, possibly, but you know what? I turned it around like this here. I think that people look at President Trump as a savior. They look at him how he's saving America. He had the economy booming. He's draining the swamp, and some of the ones that's been stuck and drowning in the swamp, they out in their own self through books. That's right. So he's doing an amazing job over here, and I don't take it as an insult. I'm going to take it as something good.
That's right.
All right. Well, when we do have the military parade, I think you guys should be the grand marshals. How about that?
Okay.
All right. You guys in Gorka, I think you guys would be great leading the parade. All right, ladies, thanks a lot. Take a look at the Chit Chat tour coming to a city near